Hi all. This Cityspan training is on reports and custom reports. So as always, we need to make sure that we are logged into Cityspan and then we can go ahead and get started. We're going to be spending most of our time in reports and custom reports. So I'll start with opening reports. Now reports, the difference between reports and custom reports is that reports are reports that are generated by Cityspan and custom reports are reports that are generated by myself or other people that I have worked with on this project. Most of these that are left here have been created by me, Noni Williams, under custom reports. So we're starting under reports. I'd like to begin with talking about Query Tool and Custom Report Builder. These two can be very helpful throughout your time on Cityspan. Let's say you have a supervisor who needs a list of, maybe they need a list of all 7th grade girls for some sort of activity that's happening later. So to narrow down that group of students for us, we would use the query tool. So let's say we want only OPS students that are active in the system, that are 7th grade, and that identify as female. And so just as a reminder, this is a sample site, so there are likely no students that fit this criteria on my sample site, but I will just go through that process with you so that you know what this is like. Find person. Yep, no people. And we hit return. And then we go ahead and hit return again. So if this were your site and you actually do serve 7th grade girls that attend OPS, you would be able to pull their information from here in Query Tool. And once we set that criteria under Query Tool, Cityspan saves that for the entire time that we're logged into Cityspan. So once we set that Query Tool, we could use that in other reports. For example, in Custom Report Builder. So we have that idea of a list of 7th grade girls who attend OPS, and we want their first name, last name, and maybe we want their phone number so that we can contact their parents about some opportunity that we have for them. So I'm going to choose OPS students, click next step. Then I would use the query tool. Again, because this is the sample site, we don't have a lot of students here, especially not enough that fit that criteria. Let's see if it lets us move on to the next step. Okay. And so again, we're pretending that we are a site that serves this specific group of kids, but this is the sample site, so it's not actually going to produce anything. But I want these students, their first name, their last name. Let's just pull gender and grade. And let's say I said I also wanted their phone number. It's for their emergency contact. Let's go down and pull that from address. We want their parents' phone number. Next step. We verify that these are the fields that we wanted. So first name, last name, gender, grade, phone number. And then I can pull that up web format, so that'll just pop up as a new tab, or I can download it as an Excel file. Now, if this is something that you want to reference later, I highly recommend downloading it as an Excel file. If you're just going to be looking at it online quickly while you're on your computer, web format, if you don't need to save it for later. So let's do both just so that we can see what that looks like. I click web format. It opens up. Again, we didn't have any students that fit that criteria for the sample site, but if we did, they would have information under each of these variables. And then Excel format, we click, it opens up as a report, downloaded down here. So I could just click on that. Whoops, let me move this over so you can see it. And it opens up as a report. So again, if there was actual information on this sample site, you would see the list of students with their first name, last name, gender, grade, and phone number that fit the search criteria that we were looking for. I'll go back to, we'll start, actually won't start over. We'll just go back out to reports. So now we have an idea of what Query Tool and Custom Report Builder do. We talk about these student scanning reports in the card scanner training. So if you haven't seen it yet, go check that out. And these other reports are participant summaries, attendance reports, attendance collection tools, lists and labels. It is very likely that you won't use all of these reports. If you're new to Cityspan, try out a few to see which format works best for you and your needs at your site. I promise you, you won't break anything by trying out a few of the reports. So make sure that you spend some time in there as you're getting acquainted and figuring out what works best for you and what fits your needs the best. And custom reports, it functions similarly to reports. Again, these are just reports that are created in-house, so they don't have that Cityspan touch. These are for specific requests throughout the community of sites in Omaha on Cityspan. So some of these, again, you may never use. It would not make sense for you to need all of these, especially because some of these are for specific groups. And they will say so in the name of the report. But if you find that these reports work for you, feel free to use them. Some important reports, I would say, for those of you that serve OPS students, Students Without ROIs is a very important report to run so that you make sure that you have an idea of which ROIs have been accepted by OPS and which ones still need to be submitted, or which ones you're still waiting to be processed by OPS so that you can receive the information that you need for these students from OPS. Students Not in Front Door is also a great report to run so that you can be sure that you are recording attendance for all the students that you need to record attendance for. I highly recommend using those two reports often. And then I think I'll go back to the reports tab and say services with missing attendance is also a great report to run frequently so that you know if you are missing any days of attendance while you are serving youth. It's best to catch it as soon as possible, because when you get too far away from the missed dates, it's a lot harder to go through and make sure that your information is accurate. So make sure that you can set a schedule for yourself and your team for how frequently you need to be running certain reports to make sure that your data is what you need it to be, what your site needs it to be, what your agency needs it to be. And in general, that is the basics for reports and custom reports in Cityspan.